Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with us in Hermann's classroom. Are you ready for an overview?
I'm John Shivington, the Union Major, and we got Charles Pyron, the Confederate Major. Mr. Pyron, you have the floor, sir.
We start on March 26, 1862, with the guys in gray fighting against the boys in blue. The Confederacy has left the Union. We don't want to be in this communion. Oh, we Grays are the best, see? Commanders like Stonewall Jackson and Robert Lee led our country to fight the Northern forces while the Union kids were hiding behind their horses.
Not true.
Oh, the Blues think they're what fits, but the nation is falling. Why should the Southerners bear it? Oh, our time is up, Buttercup. Don't bring us down because we sure are set for the threats. In New Mexico, Glorieta passed. We set up and are ready to stop the marching mass. You guys tried to advance your way through the land after capturing and interrogating some of our mans. But thanks to the assault of our big guns, you brought a new example of stop, drop, and run. Look, you think these cowards are going to save our country? The Confederate ideology is as sweet as honey.
Thank you, Charles Pyron. Now, it's time for my response. So you think you have a great confederation? Before you, I have a great declaration. Earlier, you did not say the whole story while you tried invading the New Mexico territory. I, Shivington, came with 400 troops towards Johnson's ranch where you were just waiting to shoot. How did you not win it, Pyron? It's because you only had an army of 300 troops. You couldn't harm our soldiers, dare find bread. You were able to push us back, but only once. We then split up and cut you in the crossfire. Yeah, this force caused you to be dire. You retreated, and we got a bunch of reinforcements. Then, on the final day of battle, we recommenced. We attacked you hard, you tried to counterattack, but then we forced you back into Texas. We can conclude that the Union is the best, because then we destroyed your supplies as you could have guessed. You might as well stop fighting for your cause. You should see now that your army has flaws. The Union is great, and you're just bad. Just stop fighting us. You're making us mad.
Can you tell me what led up to the battle?
The Battle of Glorieta Pass took place on March 26 to the 28th, 1862. In this battle, Union forces stopped the Confederate invasion of New Mexico territory. The Union, led by John M. Shivington, started out with 400 soldiers and marched through the pass, where the Confederate force of 300 soldiers, led by Charles L. Pyron, were waiting at Johnson's ranch. The Confederate intention for the West was to create forces in Texas, march up the Rio Grande, seize Santa Fe, turn northeast on the Santa Fe Trail, commandeer Fort Union, make for Colorado to gain the gold fields, and finally take California. New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado were potentially crucial for the Southern cause. Each of the three states had majorities faithful to the Confederacy, and southern New Mexico had withdrew from the administration at Santa Fe. New Mexico had weaponry. The capturing of this weaponry would mean more power for the Confederacy. There would be access to 1,200 miles of California coastline with many ports. Open exchanging ports meant better acknowledgement by and exchanging with European nations. Preceding the Battle of Glorieta Pass, February 21, 1862, contained the first major conflict between Union and Confederate forces in the West, at the Battle of Valverde near Fort Craig, 100 miles south of Albuquerque. The Texans won the fight with 200 losses created to each side. In any case, Fort Craig stayed in Union hands under Canby. The Confederates needed supplies, so they started a consistent walk up the Rio Grande and claimed Albuquerque on March 2, 1862. Charles Pyron of the 2nd Texas Regiment was sent on to unprotected Santa Fe and lifted the Confederate banner over the palace of the governors on March 13th. With provisions running low, Sibley knew they couldn't sit without moving and resolved to progress on Fort Union to catch its extraordinary stores and weapons store.
Can you tell me about the battle?
The first battle broke out on March 26, 1862. Major Pyron and his estimated 600 troops left from Johnson's ranch, moving east into an open region in the Apache Canyon. He encountered Shivington's troops. Pyron set up 2 cannons and fired at the Union troops. Shivington sent 2 companies under Captain Wincoop and Anthony, alongside Captain Walker's dismounted force, through the trees. After that, the Confederates pulled back down to the canyon to cut off ingress. They put their battery on a narrow bluff and posted shooters among the trees. Union Captain Howland neglected to charge the Confederates, and the Union troops moved cautiously towards the Texans. Shivington wanted to strike this normal fortification by sending Downing's organization and Howland's Gotten-off Rangers up the lofty mountainside on the Privilege to drive the Texans out of the canyon. Wynkoop and Anthony's troops were to defeat the Texans on the left. The rest of the troops were to keep up a consistent fire. On March 27th, Shivington's troop covered their dead close to Pigeon's Ranch and changed over the farmhouse to a healing field center. The Confederate detainees were beginning to go to the Fort Union under watch. Every single one of the troops, with the exception of the injured, came back to Kowalski's place, where Colonel Slough joined every Federal army after a walk from Bernal Springs. Amid the principal conflict, Major Pyron sent a messenger to Colonel Scurry, stayed outdoors at Galisteo to request assistance. Dash's troops and the supply wagons joined Pyron at Johnson's Ranch at 3 a.m. on the 27th. The Clash of Glorieta Pass was on March 28, 1862. Scurry advanced down the canyon and saw the Union forces approaching. He established a battle line, and shortly after, Slough hit them before 11 a.m. The Confederates held their ground and then battled their opponents throughout the afternoon. The fighting then ended as Slough retired first to Pigeon's Ranch and then to Kowalski's Ranch. Scurry soon after left the field as well, thinking that they had won the battle. Shivington's men, however, had destroyed all of Scurry's supplies and animals at Johnson's Ranch, forcing him to retreat to Santa Fe, the first step on the long road back to San Antonio, Texas. The Federals had won and thereby stopped the Confederate incursions into the Southwest. Glorieta Pass was a turning point in the war for the New Mexico Territory, truly earning its name the Gettysburg of the West.
What were the casualties on the Union side?
I am Major John M. Shivington of the Union Force. We started off with 400 soldiers, and reinforcements came in on the second day by Colonel John Slough with 900 men. This gave us a total of 1,300 soldiers in the Battle of Glorieta Pass. The total amount of casualties in this battle were 369, of which 51 Union soldiers were killed, 78 wounded, and 18 missing and captured, giving a total Union casualty amount of 147.
What were the casualties on the Confederate side?
I, Major Charles L. Pyron of the Confederacy, had 300 soldiers at the Battle of Glorieta Pass on March 26, 1862. The second day, on March 27, 1862, Lieutenant Colonel William Scurry arrived with 1,100 troops as reinforcements. As a total, the Confederacy had 1,340 troops. But throughout the battle, 50 of these soldiers were killed, 80 were wounded, 92 were missing and captured, totaling the casualties to 222 soldiers.
This battle initiated the retreat of the Confederates back to San Antonio, Texas, where the Union advances began. In addition, it also shattered Confederate hopes of acquiring the Western states. If the Confederates achieved victory, then the Western states would detach from the Union, aiding in the spread of the Confederacy to the Pacific. Not only that, if the Confederate states were to succeed in their capture of the New Mexico Territory, they could have easily received trade and support from the European nations through the acquisition of ports in California. Not only that, during the battle, an entire train of Confederate supplies, enough to sustain a small army, was destroyed. The Union's destruction of these supplies was able to halt any Confederate forces, as well as the possibility to transfer said supplies to any other front of the war. The battle also gave an incredible boost to the morale of the Union. It appeared as if they had snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. It had begun the turning point of the Civil War, truly earning its nickname, the Gettysburg of the West.